Welcome back. So today we have another blast from my past in 87 tops. Full box. These are pretty cheap. It's going to be a lot of packs to open, but it should be fun. So this is basically one of the first products I remember opening as a kid. At a very young age. So we have those packs. We do have the Don Baylor and Steve Carlton on the back, which actually look to be in pretty good shape. And in here we're looking for, let's see if I can remember correctly. We have McGuire rookies, Bonds rookie, bunch of Hall of Famers, a lot of gum. Ron says toast. This is probably one of my favorite, if not the best design, I think, with Topps cards. The last, I don't even know how many years. So starting off, we have a Hall of Famer and someone who should be a Hall of Famer. And Lynch is toast. So thankfully, picked up this box actually on eBay. And Concepcion I'll put aside. Sparky's a Hall of Famer. Ozzie Smith. Put the Eric Plunk aside. So this, they made a ton of these cards. That's why you can still find them for dirt cheap. Shruti is toast. Sutcliffe. Clemens. Dick Williams, I believe, is a Hall of Famer. Tim Raines, Hall of Famer. Another Ozzie Smith. Oops. So those of you not familiar with this particular release may recognize the design, because in 2017, this was the silver pack design. There's a bow. Bo Jackson. Dusty Baker, Pete Rose, and Tommy Lasorda. And this is when you got a lot of cards and a lot of packs per box. You'll get 17 cards, stick of bubble gum, a little game card, and 36 packs per box. And Ogilvy was a good player. Charlie Huff played forever. Dave Henderson. Harold Reynolds. And Donnie Baseball, unfortunately, he's the victim of gum. It's not worth saving. For those of you unfamiliar with some of the vintage Topps packs, one of the easier ways to tell if a box has been tampered with is whether the gum is intact or not. It's not a guarantee, but that's one of the things that just really is easy to snap. These are so brittle at this point. Remember, these have been a box for now 32 years until finally being opened. Craig Nettles, Davy Lopes. There's a Schmitty. Mitchie Poo. Paul Molitor. Will Fong. Bobby V. And Ricky is the victim. Although that one's not too bad, actually. So I'll let Ricky survive. Doc Gooden. Harold Baines. Mike Scott was beast. Sosha, Rigetti. Yeah, overall these are just fun. They're really, really inexpensive. Bill Madlock, Lance Parrish. Alboni, Davey Johnson, Whitey Herzog, Baboon, I gotta get rid of some of these gum cards I accidentally put in the random pile. That's the stack of commons we already have. More. Cecil Cooper was a good player. Yankee. Ricky. Hojo. Cecil Fielder. Steve Garvey. Put aside. Andy Van Slyke. Dewey Evans. Dewey Evans should also be in the Hall of Fame. Eric Davis. Glenn Hurdle. Ted Simmons, who could be in the Hall of Fame shortly. One of those steady put up numbers every year catchers. I just got overlooked for many, many years. Corrales. Yeah, Quisenberry had that over there. Canseco. Not the Trout you're thinking. Neil Allen. Ruben Sierra. Basically, if you couldn't tell, I'm basically sorting this as if you're basically opening it back in the day. Or at least if I were opening it back in the day. So, yes, there's the Hall of Famers are pulling out. Some of the top players. There's the Big Cat. Don Baylor. Dave Steve. So yeah, obviously pulling out the Hall of Famers, but just pulling out some of the players that were really the stars of the mid to late 80s. Depending on who you talk to. Oh, Nolan Ryan got the gum. Dang it. I'll still put him aside. Of course, the Nolan Ryan gets the gum. Ruben Sierra, Willie Randolph. Reggie. Joe Codd. It's a shame. That's a really well-centered Ryan, too. But that's sometimes the luck with these packs. Get a really good card. And sometimes there's very little residue, and sometimes it's just completely bled through, like on that Ryan. Fernansky was actually very underrated. George Bell. El Cid. I'm trying to think more and more who the rookies are in here. So I already said Bonds and McGuire. I believe Larkin's in here. Rafael Palmeiro. Lee Smith. There's a Keith Hernandez. John Franco's a really good closer. Dave Winfield. Bud Black, manager. Ruben Sierra again. Don Baylor again. Gum. Bruce Sutter. We are getting some variety, which is good. We are getting repeats, clearly, but we are getting variety. There's Joe Carter again. Hojo again. Witt was a good pitcher back in the day. There's LaRussa, Kirk Gibson. Big Cecil Fielder. There's Garvey again. Van Slyke will go over there. So I think we're more than halfway through the box, because I know the stacks weren't even. Getting attacked by gum now. There's the Barry Larkin. Right hand Frank Tanana. There's the Larkin. Dave Parker. Hurdle again. Simmons again. Boggs. First appearance from Wade Boggs. And we got the destruction of Yaz. Another Hall of Famer ruined by gum. Bruce Hurst was a good pitcher. Maury Wills. Jack Morris. Lance Parrish. Hojo for, I believe, the third time. Cecil Fielder for, I think, the third time. Garvey, I know, for the third time. Andy Van Slyke. Dave Kingman was such a schmuck that no one would sign him. This was, I believe, his last card, because he had 35 home runs his final year, but he was such a schmuck, to put it nicely, that no one would sign him. You know, he's basically a really, really good power bat. But you ain't gonna get much out of him personality-wise or team chemistry-wise. So Will the Thrill. Mike Diaz smudged card. Now, one of the interesting things with some of these cards is that I have seen instances where you have a completely different back on the card, which is interesting. I've seen halfbacks. The front will be perfectly fine, even very well centered. In the back, you'll have basically two different cards. So basically, you take this, it'll be from here to here as the back of the card. There's a Ripken. Eddie Mitchell. You go through these, and at least for me, I've forgotten about a lot of these players and how good they really were. Tony Armas. Fernando. Mike Scott again. Fred Lynn. During his Orioles days. Yeah, the sad thing, what I remember growing up and opening these packs is, I was looking for Phillies cards, and everything else didn't really matter. There's the bonds. So I'm certain that I probably traded, got rid of, left at a store, cards that were actually worth money, while taking cards that aren't worth anything. But at least growing up around this time, today kids seem to be a little bit different, a little bit smarter with the hobby. But back in the day, when packs were cheap and cards were plentiful, you just you didn't care really. You looked for the cards that you wanted and you got rid of the rest. Willie McGee. It seems like I'm putting a lot aside, but believe me, the stack far, far outweighs what's in front of you. Put that there. Steve Carlton in a White Sox uniform. Carlton Fisk, also with the White Sox. That's a very old battery right there. Tony Gwynn. All right, we're finally down to the last stack of packs. I think we pretty much got the standard mix. Hit a lot of the stars. Pretty much hit all the rookies. They're hoping to find. Mulholland. Did have a lot of duplicates for a little while. David Johnson, Mickey Tettleton. That was all bat and no defense on his part. There are some games you might as well, pitcher might as well just throw it to the backstop and run after it. There's a Palmero rookie, which used to be worth something. B.J. Surhoff, people forget about him. He was a solid player. Billy Hatcher was pretty good in the 80s. Robbie Thompson, Lee Smith, Larry Anderson. These are the Astros. Some of you may recall that Larry Anderson is why the Red Sox didn't see Jeff Bagwell, in a Red Sox uniform in the majors. Well, him and Mo Vaughn. 1990 playoff push. The Red Sox traded this little third base prospect they had in their system named Jeff Bagwell and picked up Larry Anderson from the Astros because they needed bullpen help. Turns out that wasn't the best move. But also bear in mind what gave them the flexibility at the time is that they had a first baseman in the system named Mo Vaughn, who was quite the power hitter with the Red Sox. Once he went to the Angels, then there was, let's just say, a bit of a decline in his stats. Keith Hernandez, Don Sutton. I don't say he was a good player. I have a couple of his rookies only because he's on the rookie card, same rookie card as Mike Schmidt. He's a Dodgers third baseman for quite some time. Basically throughout the 70s, if I recall. Let's check. So up until 82, he was the Dodgers third baseman. And basically just completely overshadowed, especially in the National League, by Schmidt. Same rookie class, and just didn't have the same type of numbers. Didn't have the same skill set, or a lesser skill set. Ozzie Smith. Bo Diaz. Tragically died in 1990 after falling off his roof trying to replace a satellite dish, if I remember correctly. You got some funk on that one. So Garber's going in the garbage. Fisher's going to be gone. Last pack. Brett Butler, Wally Joyner, those solid guys. Fregosi. Oh, with that bonus pack right there. A bonus hit. Pete Rose. And that's it. So, that is 1987 Topps. So it's a fun little rip. It's really cheap. These boxes, maybe $10 a box. I don't even think I paid that much for this one. So if you kind of look around, you can find them for real cheap. They're a fun rip. You can get some decent rookies out of it. Nothing spectacular. But you can get a fair amount of Hall of Famers, some 80s stars. Because I'm probably missing a couple, but that's pretty much the Hall of Fame stack. If you want to do kind of a vintage team set, it's perfect for that. You pick up a couple boxes, you can put together a nice team set from that year. But yeah, it's just a fun rip. For me, it's a nostalgic rip. Just because, again, this is one of the first baseball card packs I can recall opening. So, hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane with me. It was fun. It was cheap. That's a good combo right there. So, please remember to collect what you enjoy. Enjoy what you collect. And don't let anybody, especially the market, dictate that to you. And most importantly, have fun. Whether it's ripping cheap waxes like this, it's buying the big hit boxes, it's doing everything in between, buying singles, and then whether you're making videos, going online and talking to people, or going in person into your LCS or card shows, or just talking with friends and family. There's a multitude of ways to enjoy this hobby and really to expose yourself to the diversity that exists within it, both in PC and personality. So I hope to see you again. Hope to have some more vintage for you in the future of cheap vintage rips. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. And bye for now.